This isn't breaking headlines. This is a second look with context added for perspective.
This is Reprint, edited after the headlines.
All right, good morning to the West Coast. Good afternoon to the East Coast. This is the Reprint, and I am your co-host, Christal Jordan Jennings.
Good morning. This is your host, Victor Flavius, with my host. I'm the co-host. She's the host.
We are both.
How y'all doing out there today?
We are both co-hosting.
Yeah, I know.
How are you? How are you today, Victor?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm rested. It's it's the sun's coming up now, I'm good. How you doing?
I am not gonna lie, I am still well, first of all, happy National Women's History Month to everybody.
Yes.
I am still recovering from my trip. Honestly, I am. I'm still recovering from the trip.
Okay.
I came back to a lot of work. Today is Wednesday. Monday, with just trying. Yesterday, I was overwhelmed with the barrage of work. We have a lot that we're doing here at Lenox Parker for Women's History Month that we're super excited about. We have some awards that we're giving out. We're doing an amazing new symposium piece. So we're just yesterday was a lot. And then can I tell you that my phone, so in the midst of all this work that I had to do, my phone was not working. When I got back on Saturday, late Saturday, I realized that my phone was still not working the way it wasn't on the ship. It didn't work on any of the ports. And so I spent 2 hours at AT&T yesterday. Turns out that when we switched our carrier from Verizon to AT&T, some of the lines didn't cross. When I went overseas, it switched back to Verizon. Isn't that crazy? So
what?
So
that's weird.
I was not able to text people. I was not able to get calls, and those cell phone towers had crossed, and it still had me on the Verizon tower. So people were, and I know friends thought I was not being on it. Like, how is your phone not working? My phone, literally, we were on call with support at AT&T.
Wow.
And finally, JC, who is at the AT&T store over off of 138, figured it out. He went in, he was like, wait a minute, this is going to a different tower. So yesterday around 5 o'clock, I finally was able to
cut all the text messages. When you said JC, I thought you meant Jesus Christ. I be honest with you.
Probably was him helping JC, the guy, because I was so frustrated. I was about to have to get another phone. And I am against the fact that as an iPhone user, every year they kind of try to get you to get another phone. But I don't want to buy a new iPhone every year. I refuse. So I was trying very diligently not to buy another phone, but I was almost at the point where I was like, just put the phone on my account.
You know what? I've been toying with the idea of switching my internet service to what's the one that Elon Musk owns? The
I do not know.
he owns a internet service that's satellite. It's satellite based. So when you get the port, it's a little port and it beams directly to the satellite. So wherever you move to, it's going to the satellite. There's no like wires or switches or whatever. It's all satellite. I think that might be even better. Starlink. It's called Starlink. I think Starlink has, I think it has internet service as well too. I mean, phone service too. So I mean, that might be an option because satellite is up in the sky. You know what I'm saying? It's way up there. And
everything is changing, Victor. I've heard of Starlink when it comes to your car, because that's if your car gets lost or stolen and you have Starlink, you can it connects. So I did not realize that you could get that, but probably so. I don't know, but I know I was not very happy with AT&T. I was not.
Yeah, I have T-Mobile, and you never know what you're going to get because again, in America, these internet companies, these conglomerates own the airspace. They control it. So where I live, I only have Cox. I have no access to nothing but Cox. I can't. There's no competitors. They got the market on lock, which is
Yeah.
bad. So when you leave and go overseas or somewhere else, you gotta get a new phone or get a new service. It's a mess. But
It is.
I'm glad you came back safely.
I'm glad I'm safe, and I'm glad I actually can use my phone.
Yes.
So that is troubling. But you know, I'm back. I'm back. As I said, it's National Women's History Month, and I cannot think of a better one of the biggest, I think, wins this month. We always are looking to celebrate women, and you know, specifically us women of color. And I've gotta say, I was super excited to hear this new announcement for the upcoming Essence Festival in 2026. The lineup was announced beautifully. The lineup rolled out. First of all, oh my God, I am so excited about Brandy and Monica continuing this Boy Is Mine tour at Essence. I'm super excited. I didn't get a chance
That's
to
what's
see
up.
the tour, so I'm definitely going to make my way to the Essence Festival. But can we just talk about this year is the year of the woman at the Essence Festival of Culture. Cardi B, Patti LaBelle, Brandy, and Monica. The Essence Festival of Culture is back. This 2026 lineup is serving legends, hit makers, and a little bit of history. Cardi B, Patti LaBelle, Brandy, and Monica have all been tapped as headliners for the festival, taking place July 3rd through 5th at Caesars Superdome in New Orleans. Rounding out the first wave of announced performers are Lotto and Kalani. The lineup blends generational icons with today's biggest names in Black music. This is a major milestone for all of these artists. Specifically, Cardi B and Lotto will be making their Essence Festival debut, while Patti LaBelle returns to the stage she graced at the inaugural festival in 1995. Oh my God. Kudos to Essence. I gotta say,
Yeah.
kudos to Essence, because Essence, you know, there was some bad press that came out a couple months ago, and I was actually concerned about Essence Festival. I'm like, we heard that they were in debt to the Superdome that they housed the festival in, to the tune of like almost $500,000. So at this point, people were wondering, like, is Essence going to be back in 2026? What is that going to look like? And then boom, they put out this lineup. Obviously, there's money, because these are not cheap headliners. None of these ladies are cheap. This is history. I definitely will definitely be covering that. But I just think it was beautifully presented during Women's History Month. Obviously, this is a women-driven Essence Festival, which makes sense, because Essence
It makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
My take on this is, did Black women save Essence again?
Well, if anyone should save Essence, it would be Black women. I think that, you know, that Essence was built on Black women.
Yes.
It was what, you know, it was our version of glamour, of Mademoiselle, of all those very popular magazines. I was in love with Essence. That's why I became a writer. Well, at least why I became a journalist, you know, was because of Essence. And so I'm super excited. I'm super excited. And like I said, I think this is the best way to overcome negative publicity.
I think also it kind of like hones in on what the essence of Essence. You know what I'm saying? Having an all woman lineup, and keeping it grounded around Black women. I think Essence listened to what people were complaining about, that, you know, hey, you guys are doing more Afrocentric stuff and less African American stuff, and so they're trying to balance it out. But I think this is a good look. It's a real good look. I think it is.
I think so.
You know,
and I never thought about the fact that, you know, Essence is basically, it was like the essence of womanhood, the essence of Black womanhood. And I just, that's not always what we saw on stage. I know a few years ago there was backlash because Megan Thee Stallion performed, and people felt like it was objectification of you know, women and everything. And I kind of ride the fence with that. I think that she is a Black woman and she's expressing herself. But I like the fact that I don't have a problem with people doing that type of entertainment. My problem is there's not a balance, right? There's not a
Right.
balance.
Yeah.
And I feel like this offers a balance. You have Patti LaBelle, you have Brandy and Monica, and shouts out to Brandy and Monica for having one of
Yeah,
the most
man.
successful, classy, sophisticated examples of sisterhood ever
Yeah.
in as far as like a concert, because I just appreciate the fact that these women are, their talent is what sells them. They're not, they're beautiful, hands down, but
Mm-hmm. Hands down. Yeah.
they're not serving sexuality as
No.
um a marker or a substitute for talent, for just vocals, for lyrics. They're leading with their talent, and the beauty is accompanies the talent as opposed to the sexuality being the driving force. And I appreciate that, as a woman. But I also think, there's a place for um, Cardi B. There's a place for Megan Thee Stallion. There's a place for, I'm a big Kalani fan. So I meant Lotto. I meant there's a place for Cardi. There's a place for Lotto. When there's a
Yeah.
balance, it feels like a balanced meal. Yeah, I want to have a sugary treat at the end, but I want a plate full of, I want vegetables. I want proteins. I want all of proteins. That. I want all of that. And so, what? In the midst of conversation, we gotta welcome.
Yes.
Our guest for today is Dennis Byron. And Dennis is coming on right as we're talking about.
A little bit of feedback here.
Yeah. Good morning, Dennis. How are you this morning?
CJ, Victor, how are you?
We are honored to have you with us this morning.
Okay, so what are we talking about here today? What are we discussing today?
Well, we're gonna get some the fact that Essence magazine came back with this, after going through some negative press, came back with this huge announcement of Brandy and Monica headlining along with Patti LaBelle and Cardi B Essence 2026. I had to make that important. It's National Women's History Month, so I kudos to Essence. I think they rolled that out beautifully, and I'm really excited about that. What are your thoughts?
Well, considering what happened last year, I think this is the best damage control they could have done. People have lost faith, and let me just give my mic a little closer. People have lost faith in the leadership of Essence from last year. So just hearing this for the first time, I think is a very smart move. I think it will draw out the people, and to a point where I'm going to show up.
I'm definitely going to be. I'm definitely going to. Well, like I said, we got Dennis Byron. Dennis is an award-winning journalist. Dennis is a journalist that he has not been affected by this surge of bloggers and internet reporters that do not get the information. Dennis is one that is in the courtroom. He is a big political pundit, and we are honored to have him here. We asked him to come on because we know that there's a lot going on in the news that we need to be responsible and cover. And I think the first thing we want to talk about here is the war in Iran, and how that is it's no longer just foreign policy story. It is now affecting us directly. When Americans see those gas prices skyrocketing, they get very, very antsy. And I got a chart here that Victor sent over, and we see the gas prices here for the week of March 9th. In Los Angeles, where Victor is, California, where Victor is, bless your heart, $5.17 a gallon. And it looks like most of these prices between Miami, Chicago, Boston, New York, Houston, Detroit, and Michigan are all over $3, heading towards $4 a gallon. And that is, it seems like California always gets hit the worst. But I think this is when the American people start getting a little, paying a little bit more attention to the war. They start paying a little bit more attention to what's going on. And so with the national average on gas rising nearly 50 cents a gallon, there's going to be some conversation. So Dennis, we got to ask you first, how do you feel about this? What do you think that the response from the public is going to be? Because you can hear war talk, but when people see it at the pump and see the aftermath affecting their bottom line, they get a little bit more concerned.
So I think that this is necessary in that people have not really internalized what's really happening with this war and how the Iranian people are approaching this war, not with ground troops, not with direct missiles to American soil. They're hitting America with the economic impact that is part of a strategy of winning the war. It's not necessarily brute force, but if you can impact the people within your own country, within America, then now they apply the pressure to the government. And we see this happening now with Iran not allowing ships to bring oil from the Straits of Hormuz. It's not happening now. They're planting minefields in the water. So the oil, 1/5 of the oil for the world has to travel that way. But if they stop the oil coming in, the cost of a barrel of oil is like over $100 now. If it lasts 60 days, it will shoot up to $200. And this is nothing. This is light work right now.
Wow.
I know that you're out there where pumps are really most. Why is it different? Why does the West Coast feel such a difference when it comes to gas prices? Where's at the first place that is affected? Maybe because cost of living is higher, but I mean, literally, I know you were saying that it was almost $7 a gallon at some point. How do you feel that the difference is? Because here in Georgia, we're still paying about $3.60 a gallon.
Well, that's for Victor, right?
For me? I don't know the difference. So what I was told was that sorry, mute the mics. What I was told was that the gas gets pumped from here and then shipped to other parts of the world. I'm not sure what the agreement is how that works or why they do it that way. But they get oil. We have a lot of oil in California. They pump it here and they send it somewhere else. That's some type of trade deal that they have going on. So when it gets back here, we pay a tax on the gas when it comes back to California, which doesn't make sense to me at all. You know. I don't know.
Interesting part of that. This is going to affect rideshare drivers, right? Rideshare, delivery workers. You know, my husband is a truck driver. So the gas prices is the everyday citizen, but it also is going to affect those that, you know, travel, that travel is a part of their livelihood. And I think that directly translates to the economy, you know, in a very different way than just you're thinking about, oh, I can't go around the block or I can't get back and forth to work. When you think about so much of the economy is based in travel.
Absolutely, Christal. And again, I say it's necessary for people to understand that they have to speak out. They have to make sure that their neighbors know that this is serious. A lot of people don't even think that this war is going to last long. If you understand how the Iranian people think and see how they fought Iraq, this war will, in my estimation, it will probably last a couple of months, if not go into a year. Because when you think about a war that started with Iraq, they believe that the war will probably end in a couple of months. People think they could go in and end the war. It's not that easy. And then President Trump has taken a hardline approach to dealing with the Iranian people. And then you hear the Iranian, one of the spokespersons for the Iranian people say that, listen, we're not even interested in negotiating any type of settlement. This is, we didn't start this war. As a matter of fact, we were misled. We were in negotiations. We were 2 times that they were attacked by Israeli and then, Americans joined in on this fight. So again, when it'll probably get real for people when their draft starts and then they have to send their children to fight this war in Iran. They don't see how serious this is. And while we're talking about the economic impact, there is more than the economic impact. We have Russia and China now speaking to the new head of Iran about what can we do for you to knock some sense in America.
So that's strange that Trump had a relationship with Russia. At least that's what we were led to believe. I want to say the American government has been telling the public one number as far as the casualties in the war, and the real number appears to be something very different. Approximately 150 American troops have been wounded during this U.S. conflict with Iran, according to Reuters, a Reuters report, a figure far higher than the Pentagon's publicly disclosed count of just 8 seriously wounded service members. I think that goes to your point, Dennis, that this is a lot more serious than it's being presented. This could go on a lot farther. I think that it was interesting. We talked about this a little bit last week, how there were the government administration was saying this is not a war, and then President Trump was like, well, this is a war. Like, he was honest about the fact that this is war. If 150 U.S. troops have been wounded in Iran conflict, this is a serious war. Some people were saying, is this the beginning of World War III? Where do you think conflict?
Well, first of all, those numbers are understated. You got to think about this. All the bases that are in the Middle East have been targeted by Iran. They've been targeted. They've been destroyed. When the number of 6 soldiers were killed was put out, those weren't real numbers, because you have to imagine how many soldiers or military personnel are attached to these bases. So if you tell the real numbers, then this will discourage, 1, people willing to enlist in the military, and 2, those who will probably dodge the draft. So you cannot put the real numbers out, because the psychology going into this war for the people that you asking to lay down their lives for a war that they don't even know why they're fighting, because this is Iran's viewing this as a holy war. America is viewing this as a different type of war. But if the Iranian people view this as a holy war, they're going to approach it differently, a whole lot differently than what the agenda of America is. So we don't view this as a holy war, American citizens, but those in Iran view this as a holy war. And as such, they're going to approach it. And I don't have to say too much, and people study war and understand the Iranian people, how they deal with a situation like this. The war is not going to be fought on Iranian soil. More so it will be fought here, right in America.
Do you think that's what's going to happen? It's going to be on American soil next?
Absolutely. Just think about this. In the last 2 weeks, we've seen attempted terror attacks in New York, and 2 individuals was just recently charged by the Department of Justice for trying to blow up the Gracie Mansion. Then you have these other threats on the planes. So, and then they have sleeper cells in America. So Iran's not trying to come to America to fight Americans in the traditional sitting ground troops, because why should they? And they have all different type of psychological chess moves to make. And people say, no, America's powerful. America's strong. Oh, we have a strong military. But if you're fighting someone that doesn't use conventional measures, then guess what? Now you're off balance. It's no different fighting a martial artist fighting a boxer. They're approaching the fight differently. Their techniques are going to be different. So
that's true.
I think people have to understand and study war. And I remember the war in 1970. I'm old enough to remember that war. So I think that, and Christal, you see on my social media, I share things. I don't just post things. I share things, and I want people to think about the stuff that I share and listen to the messaging. Because the other part to this, and I'm going to give it back to you, that the news has been sanitized in America. It's being very sanitized. So I look at news outlets like Al Jazeera and other international news outlets, and I also have it translated as I listen to it, because now you want to get a real snapshot of what's happening, not just a one-sided. Because if you'll remember, as Trump came in, he started suing media outlets. He had his Justice Department go after Don Lemon, because when we are the truth tellers, and they don't want us to tell the true story. They want to be able to control it. You have your Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, who was a blogger, a content creator. So it's nothing like I've seen before. Nothing like I've seen before. But
I want to ask you this, and I appreciate. I'm excited about you being here, because I know that this is what you do. You know, as a journalist that is a lot of times on the ground and paying attention to this. When Trump made, and to your point about how American news is disseminated and distributed, when Trump said that he wanted to pick Iran's new leader, and he said he needed to be involved in the leadership, I was just thinking, like, there's no what, like, and I think a lot of people, because we're in media, so we know question things and to not believe things. But that was a headline actually yesterday. Trump said he was not happy with Iran's choice of the new supreme leader, and this could lead to backfire. What are your thoughts on just even that being reported? And that was, like I said, that was a major headline. He said that last week, that he wanted to that he needed to be involved in the selection. And then he expressed disappointment in the leadership that had been selected, I guess, over the last few days.
Well, so first of all, he has no say-so in who the Iranians choose for their leader. He killed the father. The son is now in charge. It's not up to him to be happy about it. He wants to overthrow Iran. Well, people have to understand, Iran is 2,500 years old. America is 250 years old. Iran will never capitulate to Trump's will. It's not happening. And he has to I don't know who's advising him, but he has to understand the Iranian people approach conflict different. It's not like you going into Venezuela and sending your stormtroopers in to kidnap or take control or take hostage of their leader. This is Iran. This is different. Why do you think we have never had a direct combat with Iran? There's a reason. There's a reason why that hasn't happened. So you're telling me all these qualified presidents that came before Trump did not think about all the possibilities? You had 5-star generals that didn't advise their president that this would be the smart thing to do. Then you have Benjamin Netanyahu, who was a war criminal and is a war criminal, who came in after Trump came to the White House. After Trump came in, no one else invited him to the White House. So you have a war criminal giving advice to the president of the United States, who has zero military experience. Zero military experience.
I agree with you 100% on that. 100% on that. It's not looking good for America right now. They want to go in and they say that they want to do a quick war, but it ain't gonna be a quick war. It's not gonna be a 2-week war. These guys have been preparing for the last 20 years. They've stockpiled all their equipment. They have China on the speed dial, they have Russia on the speed dial. And Iran is ready to go the long haul. They are ready to take this to the next level. These guys don't want a quick war. Iran is like, listen, we're not taking any deals. we'll take the war. You want to do it quick? Nah, we'll take the war. That's just my assessment.
So let's say we're move on with this to other things. I just want to know, like, my concern is, I think all of us are concerned what this is going to do to the economy. I was having a conversation with my cousin yesterday, who's a vet, and he said there is something to be appreciated about a leader who seems confident, and that this potentially situation with Iran could have been a problem regardless of who was in office. I don't know that we've seen anything. We've never seen a president handle things quite this way, as far as maybe being as bold and as forward and as he doesn't speak in a way that politicians speak, right? So we don't hear that the polished version of what's happening. It's like, yes, it's a war, and then the administration is like, no, it's not a war. It's just so. What do we see coming? What do we see for the next few months? And especially as this relates to midterms, because we know that midterms are coming up, and a lot of politicians are really going hard against this. And I think that's going to be one of the variables used in the conversation for midterms, Democrats versus Republicans. Do you both think that this war is going to be basically come down to Democrats wanting to stop, Republicans wanting to move forward, as we look into the conversation and the platforms that are going to be used in midterms?
So where are we in the mix? The damage from the American people's perspective, and those who are opposing things that have coming out this administration, they have already decided, in my belief, who they're going to, what the play is. But you have to be able to get to that finish line. The finish line for many is to get into the midterm elections.
Right.
However, people are not. There's a situation where people haven't considered, if we don't make it to the midterms, and what does that look like? How will we not make it to the midterms? If the war escalates to a point where you can't get to the midterms, people can't get to the polls, where there may be martial law because people are upset that the prices have reached an all-time high, and if it's go another 60 days and the cost of a barrel of oil reaches $200, we're in a recession. We're in a recession because
right.
And then where are they going to get the money from? Now, the other part to this is, after the war, if we make it to after the war, how are they going to replenish their military? They're going to have to pull for somewhere else. Where are they going to pull for? Social Security? Because they've already pulled from Medicaid, from the SNAP benefits, from the other, all these other things that they decided. They have to pull for so social. I think Social Security is probably going to be the next thing attacked. I think so.
I don't even see Social Security as being something that is tangible at this point. Period. I mean, we've heard that was going to be attacked for years prior. So that is very that's shaky thing. It's going to be something besides Social Security.
What else do we really have? Except for go after the billionaires. What do we really have?
I'm not going to go after that.
That rest assured, we're coming from the billionaires. We are coming from those billionaires.
Yeah. I don't know. Sorry, I'm hearing a little bit of feedback in the headphones.
Is it mine?
Do you have a cancellation on? Your echo cancellation? Okay.
I think it's yours, Christal. Right. Christal, hit your mute for a second.
No, I got it.
I still hear it.
Let's go. I got it. Let's go.
All right. So in addition to still hear an echo, but I'm going to keep going. The war, this war has, in addition to the troops that we just talked about, 1,300 civilians have lost their lives in Iran. And to me, I mean, I'm always concerned about, of course, we're concerned about home, but I think a lot of times, to Dennis's point earlier, people have no idea of the reality of what's happening to humanity, right? And so hearing that, we did hear that a women's school, a young girls' school, was targeted. Well, if not targeted, was a casualty, right? But to hear that 1,300 civilians have lost their lives, and that the U.S. and Israeli forces have bombed nearly 10,000 civilian sites across that country is just heartbreaking to me. I understand that war is necessary, but at the point and the way that we're being informed
Why is war
about it,
necessary?
I guess because I mean I do think war is necessary, Dennis, because otherwise, if we didn't have such a strong military, you know, and I have my like I said, my husband's a vet and has done 2 Iraq tours. And from his perspective, and a lot of veterans' perspective, or even active military, if we did not have a strong military, the United States would not be in the situation that we are in. I mean, I think having military and the things that a lot of veterans and active duty military are doing and have done, unbeknownst to the American public, have allowed us to have the freedoms that we do.
Okay, so I would have to say that the 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 right wars are necessary. We should not be going to any country or nation if we have no reason to be there legitimately, and it should go through Congress. Congress has to greenlight these wars in order for that to happen. Well, President Trump hop skipped over Congress and went in, and they went in at the behest of Israel. So why are we giving our men and women to Israel to fight a war? What is their agenda? Their agenda doesn't align with my agenda or my people's agenda or many other people's agenda. So why are we even lending our troops to Israel to fight a war that we should not be in the first place? That wasn't approved by Congress.
I agree 100%. We didn't even go in. We went in hot. Like we went in all guns blazing, you know. And I think Israel is the one that pulled America into this war. You know, we there's no reason to go in, but we know why they went in. Oil control, control of the strait that they need to do all the shipping, to control the location in the Middle East, all of that. You could. We know why America's there. We're not there because we want to, you know, get more property. No, they have resources on the ground that they want, and they want to control the oil because what happens is you know that if the oil is if America controls the oil in the way petrodollars that are used, they control the economy. And once they lose that control of the economy, the petrodollars, you have bricks on the other side getting stronger by the day. You know, it's growing and building up. And if America loses that control, it's a wrap. We're no longer going to be a superpower. And then China and Russia have fair game coming at us. So it's a lot at stake, you know. To me, that's my opinion.
You make a good point. China and Russia is allied to Iran. China, Russia, and Iran going against not just those 3 superpowers. Well, two or three are superpowers. Then you have the neighboring countries that are aligned with Iran because Iran is attacking them for them housing any American soldiers, any American assets. So this is getting real dangerous, and it's to a point where the temple has to be brought down. The temple has to be brought down, and we can't be arrogant to the American people and saying, no, we can do this when we really can't. The math is not mathing. It's not mathing.
Yeah. No.
Because if they knew they can do it, they didn't go in hot like they went in with Venezuela. They're still fighting this war. It's not like they walk. They're not. Listen, this is not going to be as easy as President Trump believed. And I'm just saying, being a realist. I'm not just saying that because I support the war, because I don't support the war because it was done under false premises. But I would just say that you got to be honest to the American people. You have Mark Rubio saying one thing, you have Pete Hegseth saying another thing, and you have Trump saying something else, and you have now fired Christy Nome that has another talking point. Then you have Pam Bondi, who has a different talking point. You have Kash Patel, who has another. They can't get their stories together. And then you have Caroline Levitt just saying anything she wants to say. And then today, Pete has barred photographers in the press room because they're taking bad pictures of him.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it just happened today.
Oh wow, I didn't see that.
Don't fire the photographer, fire the makeup artist.
Bad lighting.
Bad lighting, exactly.
I have a video I want to play. Let me find a video. 1 second. It's
Christal, you're muted. You're muted.
Let me unmute her real quick. Sorry. Okay. I have a video I want to play.
Okay, question. Quick question. While is finding that video, how was Trump able to bypass Congress? And once we went back through that, he was able to do it. He was able to double down on that. And so I'm just curious, and I think there's a lot of things that that just the lay people cannot comprehend. And a lot of people are saying, how is Trump able to do the things that he's doing? And I feel like, for being someone that is becoming more and more conspiracy theorist, there is a reason that he was able to bypass Congress, because he bypassed them once, and then it came back around last week, and he was able to continue the decisions and moving forward without the approval and cooperation of Congress. How is that possible?
So he would have to go on it and saying there was an imminent threat to American life and or property. He would have to make an imminent argument, and he can do that in the rare instances. But typically, if you're thinking about going to war, the Congress is already made aware. Congress is made aware that there may be potential of a possible war, and they huddle together and figure out, is it legitimate? And they want to know all the information because they got to report back to the American people. But in this instance, no different than what happened in Venezuela, he went in. They'd had an operation. But again, there's some wiggle room for the president to launch a war, but if it proves that what he said didn't materialize, no different than weapons of mass destruction in previous wars, that was never found. We spent trillions of dollars in a war saying that there were weapons of mass destruction that we were going out and getting, and there was none. So
yeah,
he's only playing from the playbook that's been played by other warmongers.
Just different time now, different times, Yeah, we
And
he's using old playbooks. He's using old playbook for new time, and it doesn't. Yeah, and it can't work in today's time. Analog and digital doesn't go together. You got to have analog, digital. So he's using an analog playbook with a digital time, and it's like, you can't run the same play. You can't run the same. Let me play this video real quick.
I don't know. I don't agree. I think that it's okay.
Sorry, let me run this video real quick. Let's see, 1 second. Where is it?
Long the war with Iran will continue. Yesterday, President Trump told CBS News, quote, "I think the war is very complete, pretty much." He also said the war would be over soon, but not within a week. At today's White House press briefing, Secretary Caroline Levitt attempted to clarify the timeline.
Moving forward, the stated objectives for Operation Epic Fury remain the same. Destroy the terrorist regime's ballistic missiles, raise their Iranian missile industry to the ground, ensure their terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize the region, and ensure that Iran never obtains a nuclear weapon. President Trump remains confident these goals will be accomplished in swift fashion.
I want to bring in CBS News White House reporter Olivia Rinaldi. Olivia, what stood out to you from today's press briefing?
Well, a couple of things, Lindsay. The main headline that stood out to me was the White House confirming there are now about 140 to 150 service members who have been wounded in the war in Iran. Now, we did not get details about whether those were minor injuries, whether they happened as a result of the attacks or the counterattacks, but it is notable that Caroline was confirming it is around that number. CBS has independently said it is around 140 service members who have been wounded. Also of note, Caroline said that the initial timeline for the war was between 4 to 6 weeks for the duration of the operation. But she said today, ultimately, the operation will end when the commander-in-chief determines the military objectives have been met fully.
Sorry, that's into that clip. But yeah, just to go over what we were talking about earlier, as far as like the confusion with with everyone, yeah.
Timeline.
They have no timeline because Iran hasn't told them when they're done, because it takes two to tangle, and one is not stopping the tangling until they decide it's over. Just because America says we're done, that doesn't mean Iran is done, because you took out their whole cabinet. You've killed you killed little girls in the school. That Tomahawk missile that landed didn't come from Iran. It came from somewhere else. No, despite what President Trump thinks that a American Tomahawk missile belongs to Iran. They the ones responsible. That's not the case. Let's just be honest with people. That Tomahawk missile came from America or Israel.
I don't get how people don't see that as a thing. Like, wait a minute. If people came on American soil and bombed American soil, what will we do? I mean, we won't go away and be like, oh, we'll end when you want it to end. No, we will be pissed off and ready to fight. Hands on the, boots on the ground. Let's go.
Forever.
So why do we think it's gonna be different for them?
We're still dealing with conflict.
I think that there's connect.
We're still dealing with conflicts from other previous wars. They're still trying to get back. So we're in another war. So we owe you get back from the last president, and now we owe some get back from this president and this administration. So, I mean, this is why war is not just the traditional war and how it's fought. It takes time. It takes time to get to the enemy. No different than how we want to get back. We went in and grabbed Saddam Hussein, but we set the tone and the time and when we was going to go get him. No different than when we got Noriega. We set a time to go get him. We didn't just go. We figured where he was at. We looked through all the tunnels, and then we went and got him. So again, like I said, Iran is not going to capitulate to Trump's will just because Trump said he wants this to happen. It's not happening. Unfortunately, unfortunately,
I think the American have an unrealistic idea of what it is, and a lot of times there's a disconnect between what we see over here, like what happened if that happened to us. If 1,300 Americans were killed, what would that feel like, right? And I think that we're so used to just thinking that we're safe. There's this false sense of security. When something does happen on American soil, we look at it very differently than when it happens someplace else. Moving on to another piece of this, as the war between U.S., Israel, and Iran continues to rage, a new and deeply troubling accusation has emerged on another front. The Human Rights Watch has released a report accusing Israel, the Israeli military, of illegally using white phosphorus munitions over homes in southern Lebanese town of Yamor on March 3rd, posing a direct threat to civilians. This rights group verified 8 images showing white phosphorus deployed over a residential area, along with civil defense workers responding to fires on the ground. This weapon is not a conventional explosive. Its incendiary effects can cause death or severe injuries that result in lifelong suffering. According to HWR Lebanon's researcher Ramzi Kass, while white phosphorus munitions can legally be used on open battlefields for purposes like creating smoke screens or making targets, international humanitarian law prohibits their airburst use over populated areas. The Israeli military told Reuters it was unaware and could not confirm the use of white phosphorus shells in Lebanon, adding it had not reviewed the same footage cited by HWR. Israel has a different set of rules, right?
And that's why Benjamin Netanyahu is a war criminal.
They don't have rules. So they do what they want. Israel has nukes. Israel has all these different weapons and high tech surveillance stuff that we don't even have access to. Oh, maybe we do, but we don't use. And so, yeah, they're an extension of America. So they fly under that radar. It's like you have
Are they?
a corp. It's like you have to me, it's like you have a corporation, and then the LLC underneath that corporation is a subsidiary of, and yeah, but they work on their own, do what they want, however they move. I don't know. He is a war criminal, but what are we gonna do? Our Congress is not even good. Like our Congress can't even. We don't have there's no faith in the American government right now.
And why do you think that? Why do you think there's no faith in the American government? Is it possible because a lot of the politicians have accepted AIPAC dollars for their campaigns?
Yes.
And they're compromised? Could that
All
be
of
one
them
of the
are.
reasons?
All of them are. Every last one of them. It might not come directly from AIPAC, but other PACs that are funded by the Israeli government and American government and whoever else, yes, they're all bought and paid for. So they can't speak out against it. Same with people talk about a lot of the entertainers that couldn't speak out during the Palestinian genocide because a lot of them were bought and paid for and have contribution money coming in or endorsements from big brands that support Israel, so they can't talk. So they're all bought and paid for. So there's no what are you gonna do?
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
And this
I don't know.
question, it's going to come up a lot in many conversations for independent journalists. At what point would you deem
Hold on, you got muted. I couldn't hear you. Sorry. Say it again. Go ahead.
I said, at what point would you see it necessary to take dollars to, I would say, get in line, so to speak?
I wouldn't take dollars to get in line, but I don't know what they're being offered. I know people run on whatever they run on, but when you get into the actual seat, it's a whole different ballgame. You can say, I'm gonna stop crime, I'm gonna change the economy, I'm gonna bring jobs back, I'm gonna do all this stuff, and as soon as you get in office, and whoever's passing the batons, it just must be a story behind the door saying, hey, you know what? I hear what you ran on, but this is what the game actually looked like. Eddie Murphy kind of did a movie on that years ago to show you how it worked behind the scenes. There's a lot of TV shows and movies that come out. Me and Christal talked about this before. The TV show with, what's his name? House of Cards. And they showed the behind the scenes of how politicians...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, how they do their deals and whatever happens. So a lot of the... Yeah, we've seen that. So I don't know, because I've never been in politics. I don't know what they actually do behind the scenes. And I know it's all about money, how much money you raise. And a lot of times, I don't know if they know. I'm sure they do to some degree. But a lot of times the money's not directly coming from said source. It might come from an outside source that's tied to another source, that's tied to another source. And by the time you get the money and you put it in your bank account, you cash it, there's bank records that show you took this money, and you're like, well, I didn't take it from them, I took it from this group. Oh, well, this group is funded by this group, which is funded by that group, which is funded by this guy who was part of this group. So the trail is what we're dealing with here.
And that trail leads to the Epstein files.
Direct hit.
That trail leads right to the Epstein files, because they say Epstein was a op to get other people committed to their dastardly deeds.
Yeah, we saw what happened with Diddy and his files. in his
Yeah.
situation. No one came forward and talked, and there was no espionage or whatever. So this is even deeper than that. This goes.
Yeah,
This
they
goes.
say they say allegedly, well, he's dead, so he ain't gonna sue me. Maybe the state will, but they
Right.
say that Les Wexler was funding his operations. So again, you got to follow. You got to
Yeah.
follow the money.
Yeah,
Where that
yeah,
money
yeah.
leads.
Yeah.
It may be layers and layers of
It is layers.
many layers, but you got to follow it.
It took America a while to follow
I
the
just feel
trail.
like,
Go ahead, Crystal.
go ahead, Victor.
No, I said it took America
Go
a
ahead.
while to
Go
follow.
ahead.
It took America a while to follow the trail after 9/11. When 9/11 happened, everyone was, it can't be an inside job. It's not an inside job. And now everyone is like, oh, it was an inside job 20 years later. But this is what's going to happen with Epstein files. It's going to take 20 years, and then they're going to say, oh, yeah, we realized that he was an asset and he was this, and that's how it works in America. They don't believe anything. So.
Yeah, well,
I have a problem with it leading to the Epstein files, because I feel like if it does lead to the Epstein files, then there goes our country, because politicians on all sides, from all back, politicians, affluent executives, everybody is involved, and so that leaves us with nothing. That leaves us with no one and nothing. So
I agree with you.
I'm not sure. But as far as go ahead, Dennis.
We're gonna probably get more details, like you said, maybe decades later. But I don't think this administration is leaving without making sure they clean house. I think those redactions will never be unredacted, because they will never probably find the files.
Like the JFK files?
Absolutely. I mean, think about this. Trump has lifted and removed the Rose Garden at the White House and put concrete down. He has placed pictures with interesting captions of the former presidents. He has eliminated the East Wing and put a ballroom there. Some things can't be undone. He's made the most dramatic changes than any other president in the United States in that way.
So what you're saying is he's rewriting history. He's whitewashing history.
Absolutely, he's rewriting history. Him, of course. We see it every day. He wants to erase the memories of Americans that remember history, remove it from the schools, appoint people to positions that they have no experience in. And so when you have people in positions that they have no experience in, they make many mistakes. So then they can attribute those mistakes to inexperience. But you put the person with the inexperience to make the mistakes in order for you to cover up what you're really trying to put them in the position for. Just look at the qualifications of many of the cabinet members.
All the cabinet members.
All of them. Well, I won't say all. I would say many
They're
of them.
loyal.
Some are qualified, but just stepping in line. Because Pam Bondi has 20 years as a prosecutor.
Before we move on to something lighter, Dennis, what were your thoughts? Because Monday we talked about Kristi Noem. What were your thoughts on Kristi Noem and Trump abandoning her at this point? But she's done a lot. There's a lot that went on that she did that she did have his support with until most recently. And I'm interested to know what you think about her being removed from that position, but placed someplace else.
She's placed someplace else because she actually, and I believe she did everything he told her to do, but he has received the backlash from Republicans because of the decisions that clearly he knew she was making. Like, for example, spending anywhere of $143 million to a company that didn't have any legitimate business. They started 8 days before, they came into business 8 days before they got $143 million. And they skipped over all the qualified contractors to give that person or company this money who has some kind of tie into her former administration when she was the governor. So there are a lot of things that are happening in this administration that Trump is aware of, like Pete Hegseth spending over $1 billion for all kind of lavish foods and lobster and caviar and all the things that, meanwhile, you got people that are hungry and homeless, and you're spending money on caviar and lobster tails, and what are some nice looking lobster tails, but again, you got to explain this. Like, you guys are running off at the bag. That's all this is. He's ran off with the bag. He got $1.4 billion towards his interests, and someone has to answer for that. So why he doesn't take a salary? You taking your salary. No president's salary is $1.4 billion.
But I'm not taking a salary. Not only that, all the True Social and everything that he's doing on social is all going into his pocket. But we're going to be talking about this for quite a while. Dennis, I know we may need to leave you. You may need to leave us now. And if you do, we definitely understand and appreciate your contribution today. Hopefully you'll come back. But if you can stay, I want to segue to something, like I said, a little bit lighter that affects our community in a different way. Monique, comedian Monique, who has been in just a adverse position with her peers for quite some time. She actually called out Whoopi Goldberg in an open letter that she posted, I believe the day before yesterday. Nearly 8 years after a tense on-air clash, Oscar-winning actress and comedian Monique is demanding accountability, and she's going straight to Whoopi Goldberg's door to get it. She posted an open letter to Instagram on Monday, asking Whoopi if her feelings had changed now that the tone of public conversation is much different than it was 8 years ago. The letter was sparked by a resurfaced clip from their 2018 appearance on Monique's 2018 appearance on The View, where Monique appeared to discuss being labeled difficult in Hollywood, a reputation she says stemmed from her decision not to travel overseas to promote the film Precious beyond what her contract required. Victor, I think you have a video, correct?
And this is what happens, in my humble opinion, when you don't go up to the hotel room. See, when I think about those women that said...
I'm going to stop you.
Okay.
I'm going to stop you.
Okay.
Because contractually,
yes,
when you make a movie, regardless of who you sign the deal with,
yes,
your job is to go and promote said movie.
Yes.
No. So when they wanted you to come, and we've had this conversation, and I said if you had called me, I could have schooled you on what was expected.
And when we did have that conversation, and what I said to you, my sweet sister, I said, Whoopi, at what point do we stop saying the next time? Because what was expected.
But
I want to answer it though.
Yeah.
I want to answer when you say contractual.
You want to get paid for the publicity.
Please let me answer. Yes,
yeah.
ma'am. Because if I had done something wrong contractually, they would have sued me. The reason why no one could do anything to me contractually, because they found out I did nothing wrong contractually. So when they, and this is what happens.
I want to say this. I want to say this.
Big mess.
Just in that clip. Whoopi is right, and Monique is right, and I'll tell you why. The standard for working on a movie is to promote the movie that you're working on. Why wouldn't you endorse a movie? We bring you in for your celebrity value. You cannot just get on the movie and just say, hey, I don't want to promote it, anything like that. You can. That's up to your choice, but you probably will never work with me again. But then if Monique had negotiated in her contract that she would do that, if that was something that was a sticking point for her, she should have said that in the beginning. Don't wait until after the movie is wrapped and then now you're not trying to support and promote the movie. So I think that what has been the practice, unless someone comes in and say, no, in this particular situation, we need to adjust certain things, then that should have been told up front. So this is like old meets new. New has his way of approaching the situation, but this is also giving directors and producers of movies the opportunity to put that clause in the contract now, because this was a lot of money spent on this movie. The movie that was in question was a lot of money spent on it, and Everyone assumes that you're going to support the project. You're working on, you're going to support it.
I disagree a little bit. My background as a publicist, I'm just of the mindset, specifically because I think this is different also because it was an African American production. And obviously Tyler Perry directed Precious. It also was not a very mainstream film, right? I think we look at something like that. If I asked you to come on board this piece that I know Hollywood is not necessarily excited about. Hollywood is not excited about African Americans in real life conflict that do not fit the European standards of beauty, right? So this movie starred Monique and Gabby Sidibe, and it was from a book that was a very culturally relevant book that Tyler Perry redid, much like he redid Color Girls, and Suicide was with Color Girls considered suicide. It's a play, but he did these historical novels that meant a lot to the culture. I agree with you in the fact that both Monique was right, and she was right technically. Whoopi was right from a moral perspective, right? I think because when you know you're doing something that's bigger than you, you do what you have to do to make it work because it's bigger than you. I want to point out that Monique won a Golden Globe and her career changed because of her portrayal in that film. Monique was always embraced by urban culture, but she was never embraced by pop culture until she did that role. Then she won the Golden Globe and then things changed. I remember a friend of mine worked for her. She got her own talk show on BET. She began getting all these different mainstream roles because of the strong portrayal that she did on Precious. Now, as African Americans, either we can't have it both ways, right? Either we're gonna support one another, or we're not. And in that situation, I believe, as a public relations professional that understands how difficult it is, specifically overseas, to get press to show up and be interested and throw and put attention, which equals dollars, on projects that are not welcomed or promoted by the mainstream. That is a big deal, and it's not easy to do. So for them to do a press run for Precious overseas, I feel like as an actress and a professional, Monique's team, and I'm not sure, I've worked with her before. To me, it seems like her team is herself and her husband. I think at certain points, yes, you're not getting paid monetarily, but you are getting paid in prestige, access, and it's pushing your career to another level. And I think that all has to be understood. I believe Tyler Perry is a pioneer and a trendsetter, and you come on and do a film with him that would never have been bankrolled by a non-African American production house ever. Like, I don't know if you guys remember that film. That film would never have been bankrolled by anyone but Tyler Perry, who understood the cultural relevance. So I feel like when you come on a project like that, you become a part of the team and you realize it's really bigger than you. Yes, you want to be paid, right? Go get those dollars. Once you get that Golden Globe, once you get that Oscar, and you are cast in projects with others, fight for your money when it comes to that. But when this is about more than the money. This project really was about pushing the message that our voices do matter, even if they don't fit what white people want it to be. They want to all see, no disrespect to any of the actresses that are mainstream, right? Halle Berry, Angela Bassett at this point, great. These women, and Angela Bassett, not even so much. I think a lot that Tyler Perry and other producers like Lee Daniels have made people like Angela Bassett become mainstream. But up until then, especially at that point, because we're talking quite a few years ago, those projects were not considered a priority by Hollywood. Tyler Perry made it a priority, and he did so by not just doing press here, they were paid for, but also going overseas. So I think Monique is a little hypocritical. I understand what she's saying because she's looking out for herself, and her family. But when you look at the impact of what that film did to her career, I think there's always an opportunity to go get the buck afterwards. I think at some point you have to think about the overall, what is the importance to the culture at this point? If I can be a part of that, I can always figure out the dollar. All of us have worked in entertainment and we know the dollar is always coming, but you have to sometimes think bigger than just those dollars. That's my perspective on that. I
To your point, if she think about all the press she had to do to counter the press she didn't do. She had to come back and do all this press. She had to talk about why you didn't do the press. You could have did the press, and you're not getting paid for the press that you're doing now to explain why you didn't do the press in the first place. So it didn't make sense. So I am leaning more towards Whoopi, but I would just say that her team should have, prepped her, prepared her. At the end of the day.
I think different.
Huh?
I think different.
Okay.
I have a different take on. I have a different take on that. Here's my take on this. So I hear all your points, and I agree with you all to a certain degree. Now, I'm looking at this a little different, right? So this whole thing is about her letter to Whoopi to apologize to her for how she treated her on the show. My thing is that if you watch the clip I just played, Whoopi kind of like spoke to her in a white platform, on a white platform, in a very distinctive tone, kind of like, okay, sister, calm down. You're on my show. This is my platform. You can come on here and make us look bad. That's what I got. That's what I was reading between the lines. So
you think she was sunning her on their TV show?
The word she used was school. If someone said I'm gonna school you on something, that does mean son. That's a direct one word statement to say shut up, keep quiet. I'm gonna tell you how if you would come to me, meaning I have the air in Hollywood, and I know all these people, and I've been here for a while.
She has the awards. She has, and you gotta take the lessons. The teachings are the ones that pave the way for you. You can't be that arrogant to think that.
No, I hear you, but when you're doing it on a platform like The View, and she's coming to tell her story, and Monique has a way of telling stuff too. But what I'm saying is, Whoopi spoke to her in a certain tone, and she had a certain visual on her face that was like, come on now, you're on my platform, calm down, don't be so dramatic on here. But I think, to me personally, I think there's a lot of bad things that go on behind the scenes in our community. Let me speak for us for a second. A lot of times, our community, people with power, people with money, tend to string you along, treat you a certain way, and friend you and talk to you a certain way, but they don't want to pay you because skin folk is kinfolk type of situation. So these people come along. From what I'm reading, what I read about her story is she got paid $50,000 to do the part. She agreed to that. She says, this wasn't in my contract. Fine. What wasn't in my contract was to go and promote the show afterwards. So I only got paid to do the movie, not to promote the movie. They wanted them to just come out of pocket and spend money to come out to Europe to promote the show. If you're going to be a producer of a movie and you want the actors to come out to promote the show, you need to pay for travel and expenses. That's not. I don't think Monique is being crazy with that. She's absolutely being. 1 second, hold on. Go ahead.
I think they were going to do that, but I think that she wanted, in addition to that, because no one's going to show up anyway. If you're not going to pay for my flight, I'm not coming out there.
Well, she said she got paid. She said she got paid $50,000 to do the show, but she didn't get paid to promote the show. And
right, but that's where you renegotiate. You come back in and get an addendum to your negotiation. You have to do something in order for you to. That time she can spend watching Netflix versus being on the plane promoting.
But that's what I'm trying to say. I'm saying in our community, I don't know how that works in our community. In other communities, you probably have the lawyer to lawyer. I don't know. I'm saying a lot of times, a lot of these deals aren't like how the white counterparts do their deals, where it's lawyer to lawyer. A lot of times, this is my friend. A lot of this is my friend. I'm gonna do this for my friend, and since she's my friend, she's not gonna charge me. If she charge me, I'm gonna give her the friend rate or all of these type of business. I ain't gonna say the word, but you know what I'm saying, business, right?
You're right. I want to say this to both of you guys. I want you guys to speak on this. This is interesting because I agree. I see what you're saying as far as the platform. I remember going to see Bill Cosby talk about, which is crazy. Talk when he was admonishing the Black community about boys walking around with their pants sagging and us not operating in excellence, parents not promoting certain things. He specifically, yes, he said it in a mixed audience, but he did these. He did a tour where he talked to Black audiences, right? Because there's some things I think need to be focused. The conversation needs to be within the family, right? If that's possible. I think that Whoopi having that conversation with Monique on The View definitely turned some people off, probably made Monique a little uncomfortable.
Yes.
It was at a platform that does not belong to us. However, Monique brought the issue to Whoopi on the platform. Now, the second part of my observation is that these women have two very different cultural connections, right?
Yes.
Whoopi Goldberg is someone that we love and we appreciate, but we also know that she has learned to operate in white spaces, and that's where most of her success has come from operating in white spaces. Yes, she's a part of Color Purple. Yes, she did, she's done some things in that space, but she became a superstar with Ghost. She's been a Black actress that has been accepted and promoted and awarded, right?
Last name Goldberg.
On in white spaces. Monique, not so much. Whoopi tends to she dated Ted Danson. She's
Last name
dated,
Goldberg.
you know what I mean? She has a different connection to the culture, right? And although we appreciate her,
Victor's saying,
we don't really feel like she belongs to us.
Victor's saying not so connected to the culture of Goldberg.
Last name Goldberg. That's all I'm gonna say.
Feel like right, I get you, but I'm just saying. And Monique, on the other hand, every other word out of her mouth is sister, bro, and she really is for the culture. Now she's for herself.
Yeah, I get it.
But she's for the culture. Do you guys think that plays into it when you talk about a career where she is accepted and celebrated in white spaces and she knows how to play the game? She has a different mindset. Her breakout movie was Ghost with Patrick Swayze. Monique's breakout movie was Precious. That creates a different perspective.
I mean, you gotta play the game, right? So I think that's the main part with that I guess we're not missing, but I'm saying too what you're saying. Whoopi is playing the game. She knows what she has to do in order to stay relevant in Hollywood. She knows what she has to do to keep her name and to keep her business going. Regardless of what community she comes from, whether it be LGBTQ, Black, mixed with, she has all of the whatever mixed into her name and her being. So she knows how to play that game and how to stay in that space. Monique is coming into the game and she's trying to insert, what she's bringing to the game. And trying to insert that in, and you can't do that. You have to play the game. If you're gonna be in the game, play the game the way how the game is made. If you want to change the game, you have to expect backlash. You have to expect whatever. If they're not gonna give you $2 million and they're gonna give you $250, take the $250, make something out of it. Whatever the case is, but. She's going on and she's saying they didn't give me this money. This person blackballed me, whatever. I mean, she's right, but she's also wrong because you're in a game that was already structured a certain way. You can't come in and expect it to be different because one, you're Black, two, you're a woman. And we know what those two things combined and separate are. She wants to compare herself to Amy Schumer. You can't, because Amy Schumer is white. Amy Schumer is playing the game. You can't come into the game, playing a different game. If you want to play the game, you got to come into the game playing the game. That's all I gotta say.
Dennis, did we lose Dennis? Like he froze. Yeah, I think it's more. I think
Yes, Mike is muted. I
Amy
don't know why.
Schumer is white, but Amy Schumer is playing the game, and I think Monique doesn't want to play the game. And when you don't want to play the game, because it's not just us that have to play the game. It's everybody, specifically women, right?
Yeah.
Women have to play the game. Everybody has to play the game if you want that type of success. And if you don't want that type of success, then that's fine, but you can't cry about it. You can't have both. So
No.
I get what you're saying though about the platform being a mixed platform. Don't sun me, don't school me
Yeah. Yeah.
on
I think we lost Dennis.
a white platform. Do not do that. Don't. Yeah, he said
Yeah,
Riverside kicked him out.
Oh, it did. Okay. Tell him if you want to come back on, you can. I don't know what happened. Probably did. Yeah, I don't know. Technology, right? What are you gonna do?
Yeah, we're getting ready to wrap.
Yeah.
Technology. We're getting ready to wrap. I want to make sure that we honor our Black-owned business of the day, and it is a accessories brand, handmade. Let me pull this up just to remind. I just want to make sure that we're always reminding people to shop Black. Remember, that's not just about Black History Month. It's about if we want things to change, we have to be a part of that change. And our business of the week is &made_by-hand. It is a beautiful line of accessories that are, basically have women of color in mind. They have a beautiful clutch that I cannot wait to get. It's the Dope Black Girl Affirmation Kiss Lock Cut Clutch. And then you see all these beautiful, beautiful accessories. So please visit them online. It is andmadebyhand.com is the website. Beautiful, beautiful pieces to establish your, just to express yourself, as a woman of color, or any woman, honestly, any woman, but definitely women of color. This is a celebratory brand, and we want you all to check it out. Make sure that you let them know that you heard about them from Lenox and Parker. This is a Dallas-based accessory, apparel, and design house that specializes in handmade statement jewelry and goods designed to celebrate women of color. Founded by jewelry alchemist Alexis Daniels, the brand focuses on creating bold, lightweight, wearable art that allows for personal expression without physical discomfort. And you guys, women know that a lot of times those big earrings, they're heavy, the pieces are not comfortable to your earlobes. This is not the case with Made by Hand. They have beaded jewelry, statement earrings, handbags, accessories, and apparel. Shouts out again to the founder, Alexis Daniels. Beautiful, beautiful pieces that we encourage you guys to check out. Last but not least, always have a inspirational quote of the day. So, and this is by Snap Yourself Into a New Reality. Snap Yourself Into a New Reality. You can visit them on snapyourselfintoanewreality.com. And you will see all the different words of inspiration and suggestions that we pull from that site. Today's inspirational quote is, "Most dreams don't fail, they simply never begin." And is it possible to start a journey anywhere other than the beginning? Think about it. Can you run a marathon by starting at mile 10? Can you build a company by starting at the IPO? Can you write a book by starting on page 200? Of course not. Every meaningful accomplishment in human history begins the same, at the beginning. And the beginning is always the same place. The beginning is where you are right now with what you already have and with the people already in your life. Mark Zuckerberg didn't begin with Facebook's global dominance. Nelson Mandela didn't begin with the presidency, and Michael Jackson did not begin with the stadium tour. They all began in the same place you are today at the beginning. In the moment they decided to act with intention on their vision, and they kept taking action and consistency every day. So remember that a meaningful goal begins with something much smaller than people realize, a vision. And the only way that you will ever accomplish your dreams is to actually start at the beginning. And that is actually ministering to me. And I'm sure you as well, Victor. We have been building some things, and we're not necessarily at the beginning, but we are.
Oh, we're at the beginning, all right.
Beginning stages.
Yeah, we at the beginning. Trust me, we at the beginning.
Yes.
I wanted to add something else.
So thank you to the people over at Snap Your Seats from the Reality.
I know today is Wednesday, and our next show is Friday. Who do we have coming up? Who do we have coming up on Friday, Christal?
Yeah, so today we want to thank Dennis Byron for joining us today. It was great. Dennis has great insight, but we are excited to announce that Fridays, sports are taking over Fridays on the Reprint here. We have Jamal Burke. Bottom Line Burke is joining us. He will be a resident on Friday and will share all the information about sports. Sports is such a big part of pop culture that we are excited to be joining, adding a sports analyst to the team here at the Reprint. So I know that we love the fact that we have people that are listening in, but for all you sports fans, or if you know a sports fan, make sure that you let them know that every Friday on the Reprint, we have a new sports analyst who actually was a player. Jamal is a former Atlanta Falcons player. And so he has tremendous insight on professional sports from a number of angles, but most importantly, from being one of the talented 10 that actually played on the field. He's not a Monday morning quarterback. He was actually a player. He has great energy. We enjoyed him when he hung out with us a couple of weeks ago, and he is a part of the rebranding of the Reprint. He will be joining us every Friday. So make sure that you are tuned in. This Friday is our inaugural start for sports taking over Fridays on the Reprint.
A lot is happening here at the Reprint. We are excited. A lot of people coming on and joining us and sharing, and I'm excited. I'm refreshed just by having new people on. Like today, we had Dennis on. It was great. I had a good time speaking with him. Some technical difficulties with the sound or whatever, but we're working through it. We thank you guys for your patience and your understanding, and this is what life is really like, and there's nothing perfect out there. We are figuring it out. We're trying to do the best we can professionally. We thank you for your patience, for your understanding, for your kind words, and we ask for prayers as well, too, as we go through this thing, because we are all family here. We're trying to build this community, so.
We're all family. And I got to tell you guys, this is back. Dennis is back. This is what you're saying that we were as of your insight. And before you leave, I'm glad that you were able to jump back on. I would love you to talk a little bit about, what you are working on now so people can know. We consider you a part of the Reprint family because we know we can reach out to you with breaking news. Dennis is known as Mr. Breaking News. He's got quite a few cases that he has basically spearheaded and announced, brought to the public attention over the years, from politics to hip hop culture. He's been one of those voices that is a trusted voice in so many different stories that have been trending topics. So, Dennis, is there anything you want to share with us about your what you're working on and where people can catch you at?
Well, my Twitter fingers are always active, as you've been following before. Mr. Muskie took over, so I'm on Twitter, X, but I'm also on Instagram and YouTube. Working on some things in New York. I'll be in New York for the remaining month of March and April. Then I have some trial coverage back in Atlanta, 2 high-profile cases, and a high-profile one in federal court in New York. So I typically don't announce the cases until I'm actually there, just so my competition won't be there trying to jump the line. I had a few I had to put my foot in front of because they try to race to the front of the line. Said no, this is my case. Get on over here. But as you know, we have some stories that you might catch some of my work on TMZ. Some I could put my name on, some I won't put my name on. Christal, do not share that photo, please. Do not share that photo. But you definitely can find me on all.
Well, not, but yes, Dennis is very active on TMZ. He's one of TMZ's top contributers for news, breaking news
since 2012.
And Dennis, just quickly. Yeah, wow. So Dennis, very quickly, as it relates to the midterms and the news that will be following this war, what are your thoughts on how, because I hear a lot of people ask, how can they find objective, real information? There's so many sites that as we mentioned earlier, that are curated to fit a certain narrative. So what would be your advice for people that want to get, besides watching the Reprint and of course Hip Hop Inquirer, how can they know what news is actually genuine and authentic, and what has been, strained through the censorship of a narrative from one side or the other?
The biggest sign for me is if they give the appearance of grifting, and you can tell just based on what is said, who some of the people that are talking on these subject matters, and their contribution to news. Are they serious about it, or are they just playing around with it? Not many people can say they've been doing this for 35 years.
Wow. Yeah.
So when you have people that get on, I'm not going to say any particular platform. I've seen some platforms that have been put on the top of the mountain, but I also see who they bring on. I think a lot of stuff they do for just a trend rather than give the facts. Even talking about the war in Iran right now is could be career suicide for some people.
Taboo. Yeah.
Taboo. We look at what Candace Owens is dealing with and Tucker Carlson. We're looking at both of them. They apparently can't change positions after they get the more information. Once you get the information, you realize that the information was told to you was inaccurate. I respect Candace for her doing that, because it takes courage. She's literally put a target on her back for the things she's saying. And she's not just saying it, she's proven it not by her words, but by the words of those that she has called out. And you would think Tucker Carlson would be a protected class, but he now is not a protected class. He's an outsider now.
Right.
He's not.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah. I don't know. You got to listen, Tucker. But he's lost his way according to President Trump. But if President Trump said he's lost his way, more people should listen to him.
Well, let me say this. Let me interject real quick. I saw that his son works for J.D. Vance on his staff. His chief of staff is J.D. Vance. His son, Tucker Carlson's son, is J.D. Vance chief of staff. So he has an insight somehow. That's just all I'll say.
Yeah. The thing is, who's next in succession of the presidency? So you got to keep your enemies close, but keep your friends close. But keep your enemies closer. You got to sometimes look at the power play. I didn't know that. I didn't know that his son worked as the chief of staff for J.D. Vance.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
That's unethical in some way, but I'm not sure. Unethical, if not. Maybe I I don't know. That
listen,
feels weird. That feels very strange.
it is. I mean, in the normal scheme of things, you couldn't get nowhere near the person that you're opposing. But you think so? You think Tucker's playing in our face? You think Tucker is not?
If Tucker says I called up BB and I wanted to sit with him and meet with him and I flew into Israel, I mean, who has a direct line to that type of
That's a good point.
Just so I can pick up the phone and call somebody, or pick up the phone and call Trump. You got to have an inside person. You got to have some type of relationship. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's playing, but it's one of those things where you look at it and we got to take the meat, spit the bones out. I guess that's what we got to do.
So what about Candace Owens? What do you think about her position now versus when she first started out?
I don't know. I mean, she's trying to dodge a bullet. I mean,
Don't say that. That's what everyone's saying.
I mean, I'm not saying she's a bad person. She said a lot of crazy things, obviously, but she has her audience. I mean, Alex Jones, Candace Owens, you could Pierce. I mean, there's a lot of them that you could go on and on and on, and they're opportunists.
So you think Candace is grifting?
For me,
Candace is grifting?
Candace is very smart.
I don't know.
I do think she's grifting, but I think Candace is very smart. But I do think she's grifting, Dennis. I do.
Well,
I gotta say it. I do think she's grifting, but I respect her because of her courageousness, right? But I also think, to Victor's point, there's a lot of opportunistic rhetoric.
The jury's out. From my perspective, the jury's out. We have to see, because if you can wake up with people and people can cross-reference and cross-check things and fact-check things, then maybe she is doing the right thing. Maybe she's had an epiphany. Hey, listen, I've been saying the wrong thing, been led by the wrong people.
Dennis.
Again, we watching.
I don't believe you believe that, Dennis. I don't believe you.
No, listen, I'm not going to say, listen, I'm going to put my guards down, so to speak. I don't think many people will do that right away. But I think that what she's doing is very courageous. She might have a whole security force behind her, making sure she's protected. We have to see. Again, the question that Victor asked the question that you asked was, how can people know they're getting authentic information? I mean, you got to research anyone's information to be able to say, yeah, I research it independently, and yeah, this information does appear to be fact. We give you the news in a, we can't give you the all the details, but we give you enough where you can go and research it. If you can't research it, then I would question it. Certain sources you won't have access to. Now, when we talk about sources, that's a different thing. But if the information is being reported by widely respected news outlets and journalists, then you can lean towards that could possibly be a fact. Like you cited 150 deaths, American deaths. Well, I'm not comfortable with those numbers. I'm not comfortable with those numbers. Because you got to think about this. How did the numbers from 6 deaths to jump from 6 to 150 that quick?
It's more than that.
Right, because they were hiding numbers in the first place. So they
Well, I don't think they were. I don't think it was ever 6. Right. I don't think it was ever 6. I think it was. And I think that's what's so dangerous, though, guys, is that the American people are. We basically deserve better than we get, right? And I understand. I also understand the need to keep public, keep people peaceful, and there not to be a public outrage. Like I said, I have a lot of friends that are that have spent time in the military. I have a family member that was lieutenant colonel, right, up under general, and he would say all the time, if the American people knew exactly what was happening, they had all the information, there would be outrage, there would be public outrage, and people couldn't handle it. So I do understand there being a need to share information as needed to keep from being from having a additional backlash from the public. But I do think that there comes a point when, at this point, media has taken advantage and journalism has been tampered with to the point where it is no longer trustworthy. And I think that is a problem. I think it has been, there have been compromises to the point that people don't know what to expect. People don't know what to believe. And the truth is not just shaped, it's actually being rewritten in a way that is digestible. And I think that's dangerous.
So what I'm getting is you're okay with a form of censorship to protect the public of the things that would put the public in a panic. Okay, I guess the problem with some censorship, who draws the line to how much of that censorship is being done? So it's risky. It's risky that once you censor a part of the information, then what's to say you're not censoring things that shouldn't be censored, or redacted things like in the Epstein files that shouldn't be redacted? Like, you redact victims. You don't redact the accusers. I mean, not the accusers, but the suspects or the perpetrators. You don't redact them. You leave them there. This is what's happening with the Epstein files. You're redacting more than just the victim's name. You're redacting perpetrators, people that have committed heinous acts against these young ladies. So, no, give us all information at this point.
I think that my take on this, right, is that the difference is that we have a privileged administration. And when I say that, I'm saying it to the fact of, before time, most people that join the military come from the same backgrounds or places we come from. People that are blue-collar workers, their mom and dads were blue-collar workers, they joined the military, and they fought for their country. When you have people that have never fought in the military, people who are privileged, and all they see is a dollar sign, they don't count the cost of human lives. They don't count the cost of their people who have never had to deal with consequences. So you will go out on your own platform, because we know this before. A president has his own platform that will go on it and blurt something out, behest to the White House. Before time, the president will have to go and talk to his press secretary. She or he would go and let the information go out. They will post it on the White House official letterhead on the website. Now you have a president who goes middle of the night, just blurts whatever he wants out on whatever platform and say, I'm going to war, you guys are going to have to suffer and deal with it. And he just does what he wants to do. So that's a privilege. He is not thinking about the parents, the kids, the economy, the people, nothing. It's a privilege. And you hire a whole bunch of billionaires and tech companies to come in, and you're talking about tech this and tech that. We forget that what's the Secretary of War had a big debacle a few months ago with the post that he posted and stuff on that what's that platform called that he posted his stuff on, and he got what was it?
Well, he had the Signal controversy.
Signal controversy. Yeah. So we have all of those things happening. Yeah, Signal. It was a platform called Signal that he posted stuff on. So these are people of privilege with money. Then you talked about earlier, Dennis, about the millions of dollars spent on food. We have what's her name, Christy Nome, spending $200 and something million on an ad. So these people are privileged. They don't care about money, about the economy, the American people. They don't care about consequences. They do what they want to do. Like I said before, they are the people that would shoot first and ask questions later. I have my attorneys. I have 50 attorneys in the back. I'll do what I want to do. Say again?
They're going to connect the money first. So she's going to get the money first, and not using their money. They're using money that is allocated to different places,
much,
right?
yeah.
They know how to play the game. But I think for me, I've always said that we have to learn how to play the game as well. The game is always going to be there, right? And I think that it's important that our community starts to inform ourselves. And you do have to have those people that are willing to play the game in order to be successful and to get the money. You do have to. So you have to have a Whoopi Goldberg, but then I think you do also need a Monique to say, hey, this is wrong, this is right. But you got to have those Whoopi Goldbergs in place to play the game, because Kristi Noem, that 143 million, I believe, wasn't from her, was not from her. That was money that was allocated that she understood could be used and exploited, right? And I think that when we talk about the differences in the have and have nots, many times we just don't have the information. If you have the information, you can play the game to a certain extent, right?
Yeah, but
So
I'm saying the administration
I just,
before. I'm saying the administration before would consider those things because they come from the backgrounds we come from. Even though you might have a few more people in your administration or your group that might be privileged, most of the people that were generals, if you were president, you listen to your general. General said, hey, we did this before. This is what happened with 20 wars ago with generals before me. This is how we do it. This is what we should do. You say, okay, you're the top advisor. I'm going to take your word. He's saying, I don't want to hear nothing you guys say. I don't like you. I'm going to do what I want to do. That's privilege. I don't care. Trump has been the same across the board.
But we all know he has, but Trump could not do that without there being other people in power that are in cahoots and in agreement. A president does not have the ability to do some of the things that he's done on his own. There are people behind the scenes that agree with him. That's why I asked you guys earlier, how was he able to bypass Congress again? It's not just a one-man show. They want you to think it because he's willing to take the bullets for it. But he's not the puppet master himself. There are people in cahoots with him that are benefiting from what's happening, that are also working in tandem. There is no way that he could be doing the things that he's doing without support.
That's why I said his administration.
And I think the public, a lot of uninformed. Yeah, but administrations have always been that way. But the general public is just like Trump. And I'm like, y'all don't understand how this works. Like it cannot be one person. It is I'm not going to say majority, but it is a large group of people that agree and promote what he's doing. That's why I was able to get into the White House, because there are a lot of people. Probably the country is split down the middle.
He's bankrolled by these billionaires.
That's happening as well. Yeah, but I'm just saying, it's not just he is the front person, because there always has to be a sacrificial lamb. There always has to be somebody that's willing to take the bullets, right? But it's not just him. I know we are way over time, and so we've got to get out of here. Dennis, once again, thank you so much for coming on. You're a dear friend that I value so much, and I hope that you will come back and be a person that we have from time to time here on the Reprint. Victor, we will see each other on Friday.
Thank you, Victor. Thank you, Christal. I appreciate you guys having me, and I'll see you on the next show I'm invited to. With that, I got to go. My camera's flickering.
Thanks, Dennis. Enjoy your day.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you guys for watching today. Make sure that you tune in on Friday when we have our sports guy, Jamal Burke, with the Bottom Line Burke will be on. We also have political and communities personality that will be joining us for some segments on politics coming up as well. We'll make some of those announcements next week. But we love you guys for watching. Thank you, Edna, and everyone else that watched today. Or if you're watching on the replay, make sure that you go and visit LenoxandParker.com. Make sure that you subscribe to be a part of our community. And we look forward to seeing you guys on Friday.
Yes. Have a good day, guys.